Let's begin with the foundations. Let's discuss Zendaya. This is another lecture. Hello, I'm Professor Alexei.
Hi, I'm Priyanka.
To frame our discussion, in simpler terms, Zendaya is an American actress and singer who moved from Disney Channel beginnings to serious, award-winning dramatic work. The arc is from sitcom dance floors to the very center of prestige television and major film franchises. In more technical terms, she is the lead actor and executive producer, identified with HBO's Euphoria, a dual Primetime Emmy winner for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series, a Golden Globe recipient, and a recurrent figure in high-grossing properties such as the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Spider-Man films and Denis Villeneuve's Dune cycle. Notably, Time named her among the 100 most influential people, which quantifies cultural centrality rather neatly.
So, why does she matter right now beyond the awards? I mean, for people listening today.
It's important to understand the multi-sector effect. Zendaya sits at a nexus of entertainment, fashion, and activism. She collaborates with houses like Louis Vuitton and Bulgari while platforming Black designers, supports education equity and civic engagement, and uses an enormous social reach to mobilize attention. For younger audiences, this constitutes a visible model of professional range tied to explicit values rather than celebrity for its own sake. Historically, many child stars encounter a brittle transition to adult work. The industry often typecasts and the audience resists recalibration. We observe that Zendaya, by contrast, engineered her pivot with strategic role selection and behind-the-camera authority, reducing the usual turbulence.
Maybe we can ground this with some basics. Like, where did she start? And what early choices mattered?
Born in Oakland, California in 1996, she grew up the child of two teachers, which to some extent explains the disciplined cadence of her training. Early on, she danced with Future Shock Oakland and studied hula with the Academy of Hawaiian Arts. She also absorbed Shakespeare in youth productions, playing roles such as Lady Anne and Celia by sixth grade. Around seventh grade, she and her father relocated to Los Angeles to pursue opportunities while her mother remained in Oakland. That bifurcated family logistics is, in fact, a telling indicator of calculated support. By 2009, she was orbiting Disney's ecosystem, and in 2010, Shake It Up premiered with her as Rocky Blue. The series furnished music tie-ins and audience scale. Subsequently, she exerted creative control on KC Undercover, influencing title and character parameters. That is to say, authorship begins there. After Disney, she threaded feature films. Spider-Man: Homecoming in 2017, where her minimalist, no-makeup screen test read as authentic. The Greatest Showman the same year, leveraging her aerial and dance training. Smallfoot in 2018, and then Euphoria in 2019, which redefined the conversation. She later anchors Dune Part 2 in 2024 with a fierce economical performance, and Challengers in 2024, both as star and producer.
And her name, by the way. We've heard it connects to Shona roots.
Correct. Her first name derives from the Shona name Tendai. The precise translation is not specified in our record here, and academically we should leave it at that rather than impose a conjectural gloss.
I like that she often credits her large, blended family, and that small detail about repeating kindergarten to build confidence. It makes the later leadership feel, earned.
Indeed, and on the fashion axis, the long-standing collaboration with stylist Law Roach yields an inclusive referential practice, recognized with the CFDA Fashion Icon Award in 2021. Brand ambassadorships trace a deliberate arc. Lancôme in 2019, Bulgari and Valentino in 2020, Smartwater in 2022, Louis Vuitton in 2023, On in 2024, and Rolex in 2025. The sequence mirrors an ascent from beauty through couture, lifestyle, performance wear, and finally timepieces. On another axis, philanthropically, we observe sustained engagement. Examples include Convoy of Hope during Hurricane Sandy, UNAIDS work in South Africa, STEM access via the campaign We Need More, and civic participation through initiatives like When We All Vote. During the 2020 protests, she lent her platform to organizer Patrisse Cullors, and the same year curated an InStyle issue featuring exclusively Black creatives. These are not incidental gestures, they are patterns. To offer a personal note, I find Zendaya's career trajectory fascinating because it resembles, at least structurally, a well-designed academic program. Foundational coursework in dance and theater, an intermediate phase of applied projects with increasing authorship, and then specialization, where one publishes or rather performs results that the field must cite. Now let's explore three big questions about Zendaya's career.
So, setting the context. Child stars often get stuck, right? I'm curious about the specific obstacles she faced moving from Disney Channel to more serious roles.
The primary challenge is typecasting, which operates like path dependence in economics. The market remembers you as a teen sitcom lead and prices your offers accordingly. Zendaya countered this on multiple fronts. First, she negotiated creative input on KC Undercover, signaling agency. Second, she selected roles that subverted expectation at different scales. In Spider-Man: Homecoming, she adopted a dry, understated MJ that refused ingenue cliches. In The Greatest Showman, she shouldered physically demanding stunt-adjacent choreography, reframing her as a romantic lead with athletic presence. And crucially, in Euphoria, she accepted a role with substantial risk, portraying addiction and grief with narrative centrality and executive authority. That last vector established bona fides the industry could not dismiss. By 2022, 2 Emmys rendered the old frame obsolete. Add to this Malcolm and Marie, an experiment in pandemic filmmaking and creative control, and the later expansion in Dune Part 2, where critics singled out her economy and force. Mathematically, the posterior belief about her dramatic capacity updated decisively.
How did the really early stuff prepare her? Like Future Shock Oakland, The Shakespeare, even repeating kindergarten.
Foundations matter. Hip-hop troupe work develops timing, ensemble awareness, and rehearsal discipline. Hula widens movement vocabulary and control. Shakespeare at a young age builds text analysis, breath, and emotional modulation. That combination underwrites, for example, the trapeze work in The Greatest Showman, the poise in fashion presentations, and the precise stillness critics praise in Euphoria and Dune. Repeating kindergarten for confidence may seem small, but it likely altered her tolerance for staged scrutiny. We also should not overlook front-of-house duties at the California Shakespeare Theater. Observing audiences and logistics teaches you where performance meets institution. Becoming the youngest Dancing with the Stars contestant at the time and finishing runner-up validated technical skill under live pressure. All of this converts into professional resilience later.
Okay, counterfactual time. What if Euphoria had never been greenlit?
Theoretically, absent Euphoria, the transition to prestige might have proceeded but more gradually. She already had Spider-Man for global visibility and The Greatest Showman for musical range. Without the Emmy-validated lead in a challenging drama, the industry may have waited for a different proof of concept. Perhaps Dune Part Two's expanded Chani in 2024 becomes the decisive pivot, particularly coupled with Challengers the same year, where she is both producer and commanding lead. The fashion and brand arc would likely remain robust. Inclusivity in Tommy X Zendaya and the CFDA honor do not depend on Euphoria. But the specific duality, actor and executive producer recognized, and the cultural shorthand of the youngest two-time lead actress Emmy winner would be missing, and with it certain green light dynamics for later projects.
Would another project have filled that gap? Like, could a different series or film have created the same breakthrough signal?
Possibly, but Euphoria is structurally unusual. It centers her as narrator, grants tonal range from devastation to dark humor, and credits her as an executive producer by season 2, which is rare at her age. This concentration of authorship and performance created an unmistakable inflection point. Another vehicle might have delivered a similar outcome, say an auteur-driven limited series or a critically adored feature. But the probability of matching Euphoria's combined awards resonance, music integration, and cross-demographic discourse is, in my view, low. We can infer that the actual path was near optimal given available options.
To shift gears a bit, I'm curious about her activism and fashion influence going forward. How do you think those roles evolve?
We observe an established pattern: pair aesthetics with representation and platform redistribution. Examples include the all-black in-style issue, and runway casting spanning women of color, plus-size models, and talent up to 70 years old. With ambassadorships now ranging from Louis Vuitton to Rolex, her leverage within luxury is high. I would anticipate continued insistence on inclusive creative teams around campaigns, and potentially a deeper move into production ecosystems, funding pipelines for Black and underrepresented designers, or mentorship programs parallel to her STEM advocacy. There is also a contemporary challenge she has already encountered: information integrity. In 2026, AI-generated wedding images circulated alongside third-party remarks about her private life. Tom Holland later confirmed their marriage directly. That episode positions her to advocate for authentication norms around celebrity media, which, while not fashion per se, intersects with how images function in that industry.
What specific areas could she impact further? Like, if we had to list a few levers.
First, sustainable fashion practices with measurable transparency, encouraging life cycle reporting, supply chain traceability, and casting frameworks that are not episodic but contractual. Second, education equity scaled through arts and computer science in under-resourced schools, expanding on her work with Google.org and Verizon. Third, labor equity in entertainment, advocating for pathways that put young women of color in producer and department head roles, which mirrors her own executive trajectory. And fourth, narratively, continuing the music story synergy we saw with Euphoria. Original songs like I'm Tired and Elliot's Song, which can embed social themes without didacticism.
And where do we still need more research to actually verify impact rather than just vibes?
We need longitudinal data. For fashion, independent audits showing whether campaigns she fronts measurably diversify creative rosters over time and reduce environmental footprints relative to brand baselines. For activism, evaluation of program outcomes in partner schools, retention in STEM courses, scholarship attainment, and community metrics. For media integrity, the efficacy of authentication tools and public literacy when celebrities proactively address deepfakes. In conclusion, the hypotheses are promising. Rigorous measurement would let us move from narrative to evidence.
So I guess that kind of sums it up. Zendaya is a multifaceted actress and singer whose work now spans film, prestige television, fashion, and activism, with real authorship along the way.
To summarize, we examined the transition from child stardom and how she overcame typecasting. We considered the counterfactual without euphoria, and we mapped forward trajectories in fashion and activism, noting where further research is prudent.
For anyone who wants to keep thinking, look at how social media architecture shapes modern celebrity power and misinformation. It's, very relevant here.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Professor.